Welcome back to the Quiet Millionaire, where we don't chase wealth, we regulate into it. Ever notice how even rest feels like failure the moment you let yourself sit? There's a tension in your chest that makes stillness feel dangerous, not rewarding. Ever feel like slowing down is more terrifying than burning out? You know the grind isn't sustainable, but the idea of stopping, even for a single morning, somehow turns up more anxiety than relief. Ever wonder why urgency still runs your mornings, even when you know better? The calendar is full, the accounts are stable, yet your body acts like every task is a deadline you can't afford to miss. Today, we're not talking mindset, we're addressing what's underneath your money behavior. Let that land. There's a particular moment that almost no one talks about, the microsecond after money arrives. Maybe you've just closed a deal, or Stripe lights up with a new payment. It's the result you worked for, and yet, inside, your body spikes. There's a flutter in your ribs, maybe a tightening across your forehead. It shows up as a flush of heat, a shot of adrenaline, or a quick urge to move, spend, or do something just to burn off the spike. You already know this. You're supposed to feel good. You're supposed to feel proud, safe, even relaxed. That's what people tell you happens with success. Instead, the nervous system reacts like money just exposed you. The walls come up, the heart rate goes. You're not celebrating, you're bracing. Here's what I want you to try. Recall the last time you landed a deal or saw a payment process. You reach for your phone. Stripe says, "Payment received." Instantly, your breath hitches. The mind races. How do I keep this? Do I deserve it? Will they ask for a refund? What do I do next to justify this? Your win doesn't land. It triggers vigilance. Let that land. There's nothing to prove. This is where most people get stuck. The nervous system can't distinguish between healthy earning and old emotional threat. You might know, intellectually, you're okay, but the body's memory is different. If you grew up where more meant pressure, or attention meant danger, even deserved success feels unsafe, so you self-sabotage. You overwork. You up the output. You look for the next problem to solve. So the spike will fade and you're back in control. The cost isn't just exhaustion. It's the slow, quiet erosion of trust in yourself to even experience good things without a crash. If this shows up in your week, pause there. This isn't theory. This is your nervous system adapting. You're not just avoiding failure. You're defending against the unfamiliar feeling of winning. Subconsciously, you brace for loss the minute money arrives. You numb, you scroll, you plan. You spin it down or start a new project before the feeling lands. Even rest is replaced with a subtle armoring. You convince yourself, this is just how I'm wired or it's never enough. But it doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. It happens in small, honest ways. An upcharge invoice gets paid, and instead of breathing out, your shoulders tense. Your mind invents something new to worry about. You hear congratulations and politely smile, but part of you withdraws, already calculating the risk of being seen or the fear of relaxing too soon. There's nothing defective about you. The system did what it was trained to do. For most, safety never followed success. If early wins brought scrutiny or criticism, the body learned to flinch at reward. If money made chaos grow up, even more inflows are seen as new threats. And if personal peace was rare, the mind treats quiet as emptiness, something to fill, not revere. That's the discipline. Nothing will shift until your nervous system learns that more isn't a danger signal. The first step is witnessing the actual cost. Never landing, never receiving, never letting new wealth settle. It's not a character flaw. It's a pattern. You already know that to walk in quiet wealth, you have to build openings in yourself wide enough to welcome it, instead of defend against it. Let that land. You don't chase wealth. You regulate into it. This is the work. Here's the sabotage pattern. It starts early. Most of us learn before we could put words to it. That showing up means earning approval. That usefulness is safety, not just in moments that called for it, but always. That if you stop, if you underperform, the world loses interest and so do you. Quietly, you started running a program. A value must be proven, not owned. You've normalized burnout, called it progress. You're applauded for working late, not for setting boundaries. Checking Slack at dinner, keeping your phone on in the shower, apologizing for a day off. That little knot in your stomach before you open your inbox, it is just part of the trade in your mind. Let that land. Here's where most people get stuck. You think exhaustion is a side effect of ambition. It's not. It's a nervous system recalibrating again and again to anxiety instead of safety. It convinces you to accept what you hate so you can avoid what you fear, being unneeded, being replaced, being the one who doesn't carry extra weight. Still, on the outside, no drama, just high performance. Inside, you're trained to feel valuable only when you're at capacity. If this shows up in your week, pause there. When you disconnect from your own needs, skip meals, ignore rest, answer one more message, all to keep the plate spinning. That's not hustle. That's self-abandonment. That's the emotional contract you didn't sign, but live by, where financial security feels unreachable unless it's earned through overextension, where you don't trust that quiet money, slow money, can find you unless you bleed a little first. If you grew up around scarcity, chaos, or unpredictable love, your nervous system was conditioned to equate safety with action, not stillness. Worth was won, not given. Receiving was an exception, not a rule. Now, every calm day feels suspicious. Idle time is a threat, not a resource. Your body treats financial receptivity as dangerous because it's unfamiliar, because it's unpracticed. Even if your income grows, your sense of safety doesn't. The nervous system can't receive what the mind doesn't believe is allowed. This isn't theory. This is your nervous system adapting. You chase closure, not openness. You fill gaps before they form. Shaky boundaries around work, money, relationships. Not because you're undisciplined, but because you learned early that boundaries risk abandonment, not just rejection. So you perform. You please. You stay alert, even when the threat is gone. You already know this. Still, it gets called discipline, quiet suffering, high functioning, rewarded every time. That's the discipline, the one nobody questions. Because it looks strong. It isn't. It's exhausted. The cost is simple. You trade real, regulated safety for surface level control. You chase earning, but don't allow receiving. You mistake being irreplaceable for being safe. You abandon your own calm to maintain credibility, productive at the expense of nervous system truth. Now that we see it, let's shift. Let's flip this. Wealth isn't a number. It isn't how much you make, hold, or show. Wealth is nervous system order, not just calm, but an inner state that lets you respond instead of react. Think of it like this. People who build quiet wealth don't live in the sprint. They move at the pace of their breath, the pace of a steady walk, not a desperate run. You already know the difference. When you move fast, everything feels like a drop is coming. The mind is jittery. The body doesn't trust what's next. So the first shift, before systems, before strategy, is from chasing to resting. Building wealth as a rhythm, not a chase. Let that land. The old way is easy to recognize. Chasing leads to tension. You wake up braced for work before you open your eyes. Your day starts with checking the phone, the inbox, the market. Always some part of you is prepared to compensate, cover, or catch up. This is the nervous system in a state of war, not wealth. There's nothing relaxing about it. But here's the trap. The world rewards the sprint. Men and women who burn for decades, then wonder why money never feels safe. Why rest feels like guilt, not relief. Why you can win every external race and still never feel permission to stop. This isn't theory. This is your nervous system adapting. Try this instead. Receptivity is not laziness. Letting things come at the right pace is the discipline. Wealth, built quietly, is a nervous system that can receive, not just pursue. You learn this through pace. Walking is not about getting somewhere slow. It's about getting somewhere whole. Notice your breath right now, shallow or deep, racing or even. If you find yourself holding it, you're probably chasing. If you can't settle into the walk, money will always feel like it's just out of reach. That's the framework. Most people get stuck here. They call resting stuck or lazy. But the body can't receive what it can't settle with. See it in your own routines. A client who only feels achievement if exhausted. An entrepreneur who spends weekends rebuilding spreadsheets to justify downtime. The business owner who fills every quiet moment with another learning podcast, another to-do. All of this is chasing. The body never heals into wealth. It hustles through it. And it doesn't even matter how much comes in if what is coming and can he actually settle. This is why the number never feels high enough. Why new income leads to new pressure. If this shows up in your week, pause there. So, what's the new habit? Build a rhythm around receiving. Set boundaries on speed, not just for your calendar, but for your intake, your decision making, and your wins. One practical example, respond to emails at points in your day, not all day. Let the world wait. Watch the anxiety surface, then regulate it. Another, replace self-measurement with self-observation instead of asking, did I finish the list? Ask, is my breath even right now? Journal it. Anchor this once. Repeat when it wobbles. Let's ground this more. Imagine a walk, not to perform, not to compete, just moving forward at a human pace. You see more. You notice more. Your body doesn't need to repair what it didn't damage. Wealth as a nervous system state is this walking rhythm. Receptivity is not doing nothing. It's choosing to do only what builds capacity to keep moving. Every day, every year, fast growth that burns through your system is not wealth. It's a loan you'll pay down in stress. Safety is not a luxury. It's the requirement. That's the discipline. This isn't about quitting ambition. This is about regulating urgency. The goal is to let your system learn safety, not stimulation, as the baseline for wealth. That may mean saying no, not just to projects, but to old responses. That may mean accepting that enough is not a ceiling, it's shelter. Over time, this is what builds real capacity. Slow, repeatable, grounded presence. Wealth that settles. Let that land, and let your system learn what it means to rest. The old script says, the more you grow, the more at risk you become. Visibility will expose you. Receiving more money, reputation, responsibility will overwhelm you. The next level isn't just more to carry, it's more ways to lose yourself. That's the story. And it's not just a story, it feels real, because your body tracks every move. You get the press, you hire AVA, you launch something bigger. What shows up first? Expansion anxiety. That's not made up. It's your internal containment strategy at work, trying to keep you from fracturing, from being pulled past your true stretch zone. Growth, by default, feels like leaving your own skin, of getting past your safe edge and not being sure you'll get yourself back. But we can shift this. We can anchor receiving as an act of self-containment, not self-collapse. This is your second quiet shift. Growth doesn't demand you lose yourself. It just demands you build more containment inside the same skin. Here's what I want you to try. Next time you're facing a season of more clients, more eyes, more capital pause at the body, not the spreadsheet. Where do you feel the pull to go faster, to say yes, to keep up with the scale? Notice hands, jaw, breath. Are you still in here, or did you already outsource your nervous system to the outcome? Real containment starts before the business grows. It starts by building the muscle to stretch and stay present at the same time. If launching a new offer spikes your heart and contracts your ribs, know this is not weakness. It is your system's way of saying don't expand past what you can actually hold. The answer isn't less growth, but more self-contact. Take a real-life builder. He's just hired his first operations lead. His revenue is doubling. Every part of him wants to check out, to numb, to double down on tasks just to feel some ground. But after the call, he sits. He lets his breath slow before he sends the next slack. He puts his hand on his chest and reminds himself his safety is not at risk. Instead of pushing past, he lets his nervous system catch up. That's the discipline. If this shows up in your week, pause there. Maybe you're about to go live with a new mastermind. Maybe you're increasing prices for the first time. Maybe you're getting mentioned by a bigger player in your space. The story inside says, keep moving, keep hustling, or you'll get swallowed up. But you already know, if you can't hold the expansion in your body, you'll find ways to self-sabotage, delay the post, undersell the price, apologize for hiring the help you need. Instead, anchor. Take 60 seconds before the announcement, before the wire hits, before you get on the podcast. Notice, is breath shallow or deep? Are eyes darting or staying? Is jaw clenched or unlocked? Let that land. Growth is a somatic game. The ones who last are the ones who stay in their own container even as it stretches. There's no medal for gripping your way to bigger numbers. Quiet wealth comes from regulating your way into new ground, not hustling yourself out of your own zone. This isn't a fix, it's a frame. Expansion never stops feeling like a stretch. The skill isn't to stop feeling it, but to keep building your ability to stay present as it rises. Over time, the body learns. Safety isn't a finish line, it's something you build. You may notice the same anxiety when you bring on the third hire as you did with the first. You may sense the jaw tighten the same way when revenue lifts by $20,000 or $200,000. That doesn't mean you're behind. It means your system is signaling for more containment. You anchor once. You repeat when it wobbles. You slow down the moment so you don't shrink under what's expanding. This isn't theory. This is your nervous system adapting. The truth is, you don't have to trade self for scale. You don't abandon your body to hold more. Receiving money, team, attention is just an invitation to grow the container. Sometimes that means saying enough for now. Sometimes it's not about more capacity, but more contact with yourself. Let that land. There's nothing to prove. More is not the threat collapses, so you hold. You learn your stretch zone. You expand, but not at the cost of self-loss. You regulate. You pause. You let the nervous system reset before you take in the next wave. That's the discipline. To most, enough sounds like a finish line, like someday you'll track your net worth, or your bank account, or the miles you put between yourself and old struggle, and say, that's it. It's not how sufficiency works. If you build anything real, you already know this. The number on paper moves, but the restlessness doesn't leave. It just changes shape. Enough is not some finish line to stumble into. It is a regulated baseline to return to, day after day, while the world outside is still asking for more. That's the shift, not to find new ways to prove your worth through achievement, but to regulate your nervous system back to what's already stable. Look around. People with money still feeling broke at midnight. Hands that can pay any invoice, but still clench when the phone vibrates. Hustle disguised as safety. You've seen it in your own routine. A new deal closes, and you're back at zero. Inbox empty, but your jaw is tight. That's surviving with extra steps. This new frame quiet sufficiency is about holding the sense that you are settled before the numbers say you're allowed to be. There's nothing to prove. That's the discipline. Here's what I want you to try. Instead of tallying up enough by what you've earned, practice experiencing it in your actual body. Not tomorrow, not next quarter, not after you've fixed another gap. Right now, sit down not just to check out but to check in. Unclench your jaw. Let your hands rest on your legs, palms against denim or skin or fabric. Notice if your muscles want to tense, waiting for the next thing to fix. It's subtle. Maybe your stomach wants to tighten. Maybe your legs feel fidgety. Don't tell your body to calm down. Just notice. Enough lies here, not on spreadsheets. Let that land. Most people get stuck. Pretending sufficiency is something you celebrate when life's done. You already know that won't work. Today's amount becomes tomorrow's minimum. The goalposts walk with you without reordering your nervous system's definition of safe. It doesn't matter what changes. Outside, it's always just out of reach. Time for a different approach. Build your sense of worth by marking where tension unwinds, not where achievement stacks. That's how your internal truth becomes less expensive to maintain. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be true. Try this small exercise right now. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Find one place in your body that feels even slightly less tight than the rest. Might be your left hand, could be the skin under your collar. Notice that spot. Don't stretch it or try to relax it. Just notice how it registers as a little less noisy for these 10 seconds. Let that spot set the tone. The rest of you can have its restlessness, but that quiet pocket, that's your access point. Every time you check your phone or scroll for reassurance or mentally rehearse a future where you finally don't have to try so hard, pause here. Return to this spot. This isn't theory. This is your nervous system adapting. Build this habit in unremarkable moments, sitting in your car after errands, waiting for the elevator, washing your face. You aren't trying to create peace. You retraining your body to recognize it already lives here. There's no ritual or breathwork to master. Just 10 seconds, multiple times a day, finding the place that signals enough for now. Over time, your nervous system will believe you. You'll still work. You'll still make decisions. But your internal meter won't sprint every time uncertainty knocks. Anchor this once. Repeat when it wobbles. That's how capacity outlives urgency. If this shows up in your week, pause there. When you find yourself sprinting through another task, reaching for that next dopamine hit, or needing to prove you're more productive than yesterday, stop. Come back to the spot in your body that held quiet, even for a moment. Tell yourself, enough for now. Nothing more to earn, nothing to defend. Let sufficiency become structural, not seasonal. It's less glamorous, but far more free. That's quiet worth. It doesn't show on social media, but it shapes everything you do. You won't lose your edge. You'll just stop bleeding energy trying to protect it. Build capacity, not speed. Recover the internal baseline of, I am already enough. No proving, no pretending, just still capacity. That's the discipline. This is where you pause. If you skip this step, it doesn't matter what you heard before. Quiet wealth only settles in your system when you stop skipping the landing. There's nothing magic about this. Recap, and there's no drama in repetition. The power is in what you choose not to abandon. Especially when your mind tries to rush you back to urgency, you already know the 3 shifts. You're not confused, but your nervous system needs permission to stabilize. Not just notice the new ideas. Let that land. Stability is wealth. The first shift was about replacing performance with embodied regulation, not just calming your mind, but holding your body steady when the environment itself gets loud. Maybe that showed up last week when an email triggered that old adrenaline pattern. What changed? You closed your laptop instead of answering. You caught yourself. That's not theory. That's your nervous system adapting. Second, pacing, not forced slowness, actual rhythm. You don't need to quit, sprint, then crash. Real capacity comes from building a predictable base. Does your calendar have clean lines, or is it just reaction after reaction? You're learning to leave room between tasks, to end calls on time, to walk without your phone. This isn't flashy. This is how quiet wealth is built. Third, structure replaces intensity. The moments you want to white-knuckle it and push harder, that is where you flip the script. You rely on frameworks, not force. An example, you end your workday with a clear shutdown routine, not a hope that stress will fade after dark. You name tomorrow's single priority. You protect your morning, no phone, no emails. You do this quietly, not to prove anything. That's real order. Here is what I want you to try. Notice what your body does when there is less noise. Most will reach for distraction, urgency, or performance out of habit, not necessity. But there's no reward for staying nervous. Let that be clear. The price for constant activity is always paid in clarity, not in money. Pause here if you need to. This isn't a productivity step. This is giving up the fantasy that tension equals importance. You already have permission to do less, better. There's nothing to prove, and your capacity doesn't need applause. When you default to pattern, stop and feel it. Don't fix it. That's the discipline. This is where most people get stuck. They start strong, then, within a week, abandon the tiny routines that signal safety. A morning stretch, a device-free meal. Naming exactly one thing you will complete today. You want to slip back because new safety feels boring. even suspicious. Stay longer. Anchor one quiet habit until it feels like who you already are, not who you rate trying to become. This isn't about doing more. It's about no longer abandoning what's working. Safety is your ROI. Keep anchoring there. These are the affirmations I want you to integrate moving forward, not for hope, but for clarity. I pause before I respond. I create rhythm that protects me. I build clarity through structure. I choose rest without guilt. I let endings be clean, and I let beginnings be slow. I trust what's boring because it is stable. I remove urgency from my day. I do not abandon the quiet process for a loud result. This isn't motivation. This is nervous system order, and it's here even when you forget. A couple integration questions to ground this. What quiet routine will I protect even when no one else cares? Where do I still confuse tension with importance in my financial behavior? If this shows up in your week, pause there. Do not rush to solve. Anchor once. Repeat until familiar. Quiet wealth is built on capacity. Quiet wealth is built on capacity. Quiet wealth is built on capacity.